afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Facts of Life show. I am your host, Athlin Lawrence, and today it's a beautiful day. And can you guys believe it? I'm in Columbus, Ohio, and it's not very cold today, but I know we're gonna have a really, really awesome show. I'm really excited. You guys know my reason for coming to Ohio is my first grandchild is coming into this world. So I'm really excited about that. And maybe by the end of the show, I may have some news for you guys about that. So yeah, this kind of hard. But thank you. If you guys are just tuning in, this is the Facts of Life show. And today our topic is going to be about depression, mental illness, and just some of the challenges that we face. And I thought it was a really good idea because it's before the holiday season. And I know many people have lost loved ones and just different things that are happening. And I wanted to make sure that we give you guys some really pertinent information. And I want to just tell you a little bit about my really great friend and one of our special guests here. Her name is Davia Stevenson. She's a licensed professional clinical counselor who helps teens, adults, couples, and families grow towards mental, emotional, and relational health and wellness, helping individuals and families facing challenging medical diagnosis to accept, adjust, and thrive is a significant focus of her practice. She has written and lectured on self-care and preventing compassion, fatigue, and burnout for those in the helping professions. I'm sorry. I'm a little nervous because this is one of my mentors here, so I want to make sure everything is really perfect. So please forgive me. Davia believes that every experience, whether loss, hurt, fear, triumph, or victory, can be purpose to move you towards your fullest life. She carries this philosophy not only in her clinical work, but also in her approach to business, service, advocacy, and friendship. And I am a living example. I can tell you guys everything that I am reading there is the truth. Having made several moves around the country, Davia and her husband, Eric, moved to Columbus, Ohio area to pursue their entrepreneurial interests. They own several area Wendy's franchise and are grateful to have invested in the city they've called home for 17 years. Davia holds membership in the American Counseling Association, the Ohio Counseling Association, and the Association for Spiritual and Ethical Value in Counseling. If after you guys listen to her today and you get free, I'm telling you, she is great at what she does, and I'm just so excited to have her here, and I really thank God for her. She was initiated into Delta Sigma. What am I saying? Beta sorority in Alpha chapter. Thank you. See, this is one of my good friends, guys. Thank you. That's why I love you. And she's also a member of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women Central Ohio chapter, where she serves on health and membership development committees. She holds a BA in psychology from the University of Oklahoma, attended that's a tongue twister. LOYOLA, University of Chicago School of Law, and hold a master's in clinical counseling from Ashland Theological Seminary. Davia has been married to Eric, her college sweetheart, my good friend too. I can claim some friendship in that too, for 31 years, and is the proud mother of 2 adult sons, 1 daughter in love. I like that, daughter in love, and the best untrained dog ever. That's my dog. What do you mean? I'm really? Oh, that's my special friend. I wish I had a picture of Billy. Billy is like, I said, Billy, see? Oh, I love Billy. But welcome. It is such a delight to have you here. And I know it was short notice, but you made the sacrifice. I'm really, really thankful to God for you. And I usually try to just say a real quick prayer before we go in, because I want God to lead and for God to just take over everything that we're doing today. Because the reason for the Facts of Life is to talk about the things that we face in our daily life and see how we can bring healing, how we can bring help, how we can bring empowerment to our viewers. It's not just a show for having a show. It's really to help the public. So we go right into the prayer. Father, I thank you for today. I thank you for bringing us here today, and I pray that everything that we do and say will bring glory to your name. Everything that we do and say, God, will help someone that's listening out there today. We just thank you and we give you praise for everything you will do in Jesus' name. Amen. So let's go right into it. I want you, Davia, guys, welcome, my friend, Davia. Tell us, why you a little bit more. You can tell us more about yourself and anything you want us to know about why you get into this and what it means to you, please.
Well, so you read my bio, and there's nothing at all linear about how I ended up anywhere. I start here, I change there. I go here, I change there. I will say that I finally feel that I'm in the space that God has called me to. And when I'm in that counseling room in my office, I feel like I have more direct Holy Spirit intervention than any other time I've experienced in my life. I have a connection to the Lord in that. I feel like he's making sense of my very curvaceous or whatever, a nonlinear path in life. And it's not just a bunch of random sufferings, and I'm a 2-time cancer survivor as well. It's not just a bunch of random sufferings, but or consequences or bad decisions, although my life also has many victories and triumphs and blessings and whatnot. So I just am amazed at how he finds ways for me to connect with people, even on a personal level through the clinical work. I think it's important to show up as a person. A lot of us are hurt in relationship, and I think it often takes relationship to gain a new perspective and move toward wholeness in it. So I'm grateful to feel like I'm where God has me. I don't get it sometimes. I have my own life and my own mistakes, and there's nothing perfect. Many of the things I talk about, I struggle with myself, or I've had victory in those areas. So God is just kind to use me in this way. Yeah, I don't know.
And see, that's what, even with this show, and I remember the scripture that says, iron sharpens iron. None of us have arrived. Maybe we've never arrived. And sometimes because of the experiences that we've been through, we are better able and we've trained to help someone. And even with the Facts of Life show, I always try to see how can I empower someone? How can I help someone? And sometimes even if I'm hurting or suffering, and then, you know about a lot about me as well, that I don't let that get in the way of what God wants me to do. Because at the time, there's someone out there that may need my help, someone that may need what I have, what I've been through. I believe that all our experience is part of our purpose. And if we can, zoom in on it and focus and say, God, what are you trying to teach me? What do you want me to use me in that sense? Then we can use the trials, the tests, the victories, whatever it is, to empower people. If you don't mind, you talk about the cancer. If I know we didn't talk about, if you want to talk a little bit about that, because I know a lot of times people go through different challenges and they feel, well, I had this sickness, this happened to me, and I can't move forward. I can't do anything. But I mean, both of us are living example of some of the things that we've been through. But look at where God has us today. If you don't mind, maybe talking to our viewers, we may have someone that's either healing or believing God for healing from cancer, and just to empower them today. If you don't mind sharing part of that story for us, please.
No, I think my cancer stories are kind of my pillar of fire moments with God, where I saw him intervene in circumstances and with people to places to preserve my life. And I would say that I think many of us struggle with what is our purpose. And knowing my stories and how big they were in getting me to the right people and those types of things, I've often struggled with, am I worth that effort? God, have I done? Am I using the life that you seem to go through such efforts to preserve? And I think most of us have some level, whether your story is cancer or some other failing or some space where you deemed yourself suffering, maybe, where you wonder, am I doing what I need to do? Am I doing enough? Am I making enough impact? There's a core space, core longings that we all have, every human being, no matter your culture, your age, or what have you. We long to be loved, to have that space of belonging, tribalism that's all in that love bubble. We long to have purpose and significance and security. Everybody. And we all have life experiences and the way our personality develops. So there's spaces in that core where we're vulnerable. And that's what drives us to do almost everything we do. I know for me, I've often worried or wondered or prayed about most of my motivation and the times I feel hurt are because I happen to understand for me, through my own therapy, I should say, always ask your therapist when they get to therapy. That significance is what drives me. I worry about being significant. I wonder, am I significant? Do I matter? Does my life matter? I don't dwell in that space like I used to. I think I have a lot of victory in that. And if God is the one who determines my significance, if God is the one who will bring it about, all I need to do is show up. And so I don't carry that as a burden as I used to most of the time, right? None of us are full. We will be growing and shaping and changing until we get to the other side.
That's right.
So I don't know what else. I feel like I want to change.
And that's what it is. That's the facts of life. We share about things that have happened in our lives, and we allow the Holy Spirit to lead it. He gives us what what He wants our listeners to hear. And even sometimes through your message, I'm touched for my message, so yes, we can, it's our show, we do whatever we want. So. But anyway, it's amazing because we want to be at a place where we're always humble and we always say, God, I can continue to grow. Because I don't want to get to a place where I feel so comfortable and I'm like, oh, you know what? My life is perfect and I have arrived. But once we remain humble, I believe the more and more that God can use us. So I'm really grateful and thankful to you for even taking the time to come out and speak on this topic and to empower and share part of your story, because we never know what someone out there needs. And that's why I love to do this, because my heart is to help people. I know that's in your heart. And even our next guest that we have coming on later on, we all have that love for people, and that's what we want to just see people do better, whether it's you're a believer or not. Once you're a person, we look at the person. We don't look at your religion or anything like that, but the person on the whole. And one point you made that I like is that even if you're a therapist, make sure you get counseling to a Harvard. You say that might not be the exact word.
I say to my clients when it's the first session, I says, you should interview the counselor because this is a relationship. And I think the first question you should ask your counselor is, have you been counseled? Because I think you need to know what it feels like to be on the other side of that phone or computer nowadays, and respect that that's a power move, not a weak move. It's a power move. It's we maintain things, possessions, our cars, our homes, but the essence of who we are, our thoughts, all of our transformation comes from the doing of our mind, right? So when we don't take care of our thoughts, our personhood, our relationships, only people are eternal. But that's what we ignore. And I would say, especially in our community, in the Black community, African American community, Caribbean, Afro-Caribbean community, we don't talk about mental health as health. We think there's a stigma. And if there is anything that is my passion, this is not stigma. This is who we are, and we carry all manner of pressure that's based on distortion. You talked about perfection a minute ago. Perfection doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. So if you're striving for perfection, you're striving for a standard that doesn't exist, and it's going to move as soon as you rise up. And if you think you've reached it, you're equally distorted. It doesn't exist, in my opinion, except in person.
That's very good. Which is just taking us right into the transition on our topic today. And we want to talk about depression. We want to talk. We're going to talk about just mental illness. And you're right. Even in the Black community, that was not something that is spoken about a whole lot. And we're just, and even in the church, usually I would hear it's like, oh, just lay hands, but just pray, God's going to take care of it. Yes, we believe it probably that God is going to take care of it, but we know that God also puts the doctors and psychologists and counselors there to help us with some of the things that is tough to for us to do. So the first question I have is like, what is depression for someone that's listening in? Because I think a lot of times we have a different view of it. Can you explain to our viewers what is depression?
Yeah, I'll give kind of a layman's working term. So we have emotions, moods that are on a continuum based on our circumstance. It is normal if sad things happen to feel depressed. It is normal if you've got something new coming up or something that breeds some fear or anxiety for you to have some anxiety. That's a natural continuum. It's when you go off the ends of those continuums, that feeling depressed becomes depression, or feeling anxious becomes anxiety. So you're off the ends. And that's when you see impact in your life and work and relationships. If there's impairment in your functioning, in your life, in your relationships, in the work that you do, because your depression has moved off the continuum, that's when you have depression. If your anxiety is such that it impairs your ability to do work, to have relationships, to carry on your life, that's when you have anxiety. Those are very simple definition. They go hand in hand. They're two sides of the same coin. So you really can't talk about depression without talking about anxiety. The core symptoms are the same.
Okay.
The kind of 101 explanation would be depression tends to be past focused and it slows you down. You can't get out of bed. You don't have the motivation to do the things that you love to do. It takes away your energy. Anxiety, on the other hand, speeds you up. Your heart races. You're fearful. You're anxious. You have jittery hands, or your lightheaded. Those types of things are symptoms of anxiety or panic attack or anxiety. That's kind of layman's explanation.
I'm sure that's a pretty good description.
So you don't totally have one without the other.
Okay.
Sleep disturbance, eating, changes in your eating, worry, self-judgment, guilt. Sometimes it's unjustified. We talk about feeling guilty. That's another one. You don't feel guilty. Guilt is not a feeling. Guilt is a status or a condition that you earned by doing something wrong.
Okay.
You either are guilty or you're not guilty. You feel something else you're not naming. You feel an obligation you don't want to meet. You feel something, but you don't feel guilt. But the brain knows what to do with that word. And so if you say, I feel guilty, and you can't back that up by something you've done wrong, your brain has punished you anyway. You've punished yourself for guilt. And you haven't earned it. If there's real guilt, there's a remedy. In the eyes of the Lord, there's repentance, right? There's changing and learning. In the eyes of the law, you pay a fine, go to jail, do community service. There's a remedy for guilt. If there's no remedy for this thing you feel, it's probably not guilt. Let's figure out what it is and call it.
That is very profound. That's really good.
Many of us live under that penalty. We're punishing ourselves by not owning what it really is or understanding what it really is.
So how would we figure it out though? It's just like what I think you said, like maybe trying to see what it is you did wrong, or
is there something you did wrong? Because if you did wrong, there's a remedy for that. Here's one. Someone wants to borrow money from you, and you say, I feel guilty, but I feel guilty. No, you don't.
You just don't want to give them.
You feel an obligation. You feel like you have an obligation to give them some money, but you don't want to do it. Okay. That's different. Then if you say you feel guilty about that, then is it wrong that you're not giving the money? Do you have an obligation you're not meeting? Maybe you should. Okay. I don't know. Let's parse that out, because your mind, our brains are infinitely powerful. It's where we bear the image of God in our emotions, our mind, and our emotions. So it matters what we say to ourselves, and it knows what to do with those words.
That's one of the things I always say to my daughter when I'm speaking with someone, that we have to be careful what we let into our minds, because I think it all starts in the mind. Even in the Bible tells us to guard our mind. And one of the things, another scripture I like is say that whatsoever things that are lovely, whatsoever things that are true, think on these things. I think sometimes when we go down certain routes that we don't want is because of the thought that we have. I also wanted to know, is there a difference? I'm not sure if you covered it between feeling depressed and having depression.
Yeah, I think so. I think I talked about that a little bit. Is when it's normal to feel something between depression and anxiety based on a life circumstance. When it goes off that normal kind of range of feelings based on a circumstance, then you have depression or you have anxiety as a condition of the disorder. And that means you have impairment and inability to function in your life, your work, and relationships.
The other thing, and this was one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this before the holidays, because I know this is like a really hard time for many people, because we know the holidays is a time of celebration. It's fun, and we want our family around us. And even right now, as we speak, we know there are people that have lost, whether it's a brother, sister, friend, all through the year, it's 12 months, or even people that may be in the hospital, because when I was here, I actually worked in the psychiatric unit, and it was really sad. I worked on Christmas Day to see, when the families come there, just the sadness. And I work in the mental institute, that to see some of the people don't recognize them or the pain that they went through. And why is it that the holidays seem so much harder for people?
Well, I think loss, you talked about loss, like loss of loved ones, loss of company. I think it kind of boils down to expectations. We're bombarded, at least in this culture. There's the Hallmark Channel with all these movies. Right? There are all the classic Christmas movies that paint the white Christmas and all the gatherings around the family tree or the dinner table, and they came home from the military. Just all of these wonderful expectations, and there are many times when you get to have that. That's great, but I don't know that it's based on a reasonable or experiential standard. My husband used to say to me this before I was a clinician. I didn't like it when he said it, but it's true. I had 2 little boys. And I have this whole fantasy Christmas in my head, and he would sit me down before the holidays and kindly look at me and say, "I need you to know, we're not your fantasy family. We need you to be here for the real family, not the fantasy family." Yeah. And it would make me so angry, because I want to go get the tree, and I want the boys to be excited about decorating the tree. They don't care about decorating the tree. How much time is going to buy the tree going to take from their video games if they're playing with their friends?
That's true.
They were little boys. It wasn't the thing that built so much anticipation. Now they like Christmas morning. They want to know what comes out from under that tree. but I had this whole disappointment. I'm trying to have cookies baked and eggnog going, and I was unrealistic. I was living in a bit of a fantasy situation. And when you let those, when you respect your real context, you can adjust your expectations to being something that's. When you respect your real context, years ago, my context was 2 little boys who'd rather play, who don't really care about my Christmas decorations. You saw my house at Christmas.
Yeah,
I get into it. I get into it. Yeah. Thank you. I think it is. And I have a whole ritual Christmas morning that they now just submit to. Literally, it's when the music starts, that's when I cue the music, you can come down.
One of those presents, you better.
I have the whole thing. I at least realize that I'm a little bit extra. Now, I realize that. There was a time when I didn't realize I was extra. I thought that's how it was supposed to be. Okay. And I was disappointed in the way my family responded. Okay. Everyone's older now, and now they just, they give me what mama needs. But it's realistic, and I put my expectations on it. But expectations that there's this beautiful, joyful, hopeful time, which I hope people get. Absolutely. But is it realistic to your context? And I think that's one, expectations that are not realistic. I also think, choices. For instance, we run ourselves ragged with the schedule of our lives, making no accommodation for taking care of ourselves. making decisions on all these have tos. I have to go to this party. I have to go to that party. I have to have the tree done by this time. I have to have this many gifts. I can't forget, I have to. It's too much. If we can separate the have tos from the want tos, there's a whole lot of choice in there. Now, maybe you feel an obligation to go to the company Christmas party. Okay, that's fine. It's probably a reasonable expectation of your workplace that you at least come through the company Christmas party. Right? It's your choice to stay the whole time.
Okay, that's true.
It's your choice to bake 10 dozen cookies or pick up a pack from Kroger. Or how about you don't eat those cookies because you don't eat sugar anyway?
See, I know that. Or the pack from Kroger then.
You know, there's just so many things that we have choice in, that we make choices, but we call them have-tos. We create all these obligations, and now we're underneath the obligation.
So you said that we put more stress on us, and we put a lot more that we don't really, okay.
We make it up. We call our want-tos have-tos, and we eliminate the ability to have choice. To recognize that we have choice. We have it. To recognize that we have it. I think that's part of it too. Now, I don't want to dismiss, I do feel when we talk about depression and the holidays, there's this kind of demographic that's in our minds. We think about just the adult. You mentioned, what about the senior? Says, children and adolescents also go through stress and can feel depressed or have depression during the holidays, and it looks different. In an adolescent, it looks angry. It looks like withdrawal. It can look like rebellion.
Okay.
In an elderly person who is already losing much of their memory, many of their community, can you imagine being the last one left of your friends or your spouse? And then your family, who's the adult we consider, right, us, is running around doing all these have-tos as if they're, all these want-tos as if they're have-tos. And the time with the elderly person is not sure.
Because at that time, too, sometimes maybe all they want is, and like you said, both the spending time with their family versus just let's do a whole bunch of stuff and all these things that are not. It is, some of it is important, but sometimes I think we can overdo it. So it's more focusing on, spending time with the family, finding out. And I always believe it's good to ask people, what do you need? And not just things, but emotionally. Because sometimes, just sitting and listening to someone, you might not even have to answer or say a word, but just letting them pour their hearts out to you is all that someone needs. And on that, we're going to go, I'm going to give you guys a few announcements. And while I give the announcement, we're going to bring up our other guests. I'm going to talk about the first thing with this station that we on right now. This is the Facts of Life show, and I'm actually in Ohio right now, but the show is out of Atlanta. And Status Network Media is the company that we go through. This show, you can see it on different outlets. We're right now on ROKU. In the Caribbean, you might say ROKU. In American, I don't know, whichever way you want to say that. I think it's ROKU or something like that. But you can find us on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Periscope. If you have the Apple TV, there's just so many different places that you can find the show. And if you want more information, you go on my site as well, you will find that. But Status Network Media, they're having a mixer on January the 13th, 2019 from 4 to 7 p.m. And if you are in TV, radio, podcast, magazine, this is a networking event for all different businesses that you can come together. And I will have more information. If you need more information on that, you can inbox me. The other thing I want to talk about is our upcoming fashion show. December 30th in Atlanta. And I think the flyer should be up right now. And it's a gala, but it's also a fundraiser. And as many of you guys know, I have an organization that's called Restore to Empower. and I work with youth and abused children, also abused women as well. So that project, we're trying to raise money that we can send. We have 100 bags that we're going to be filling up with school supplies and personal supplies that we'll be sending to these kids. And also we have the uniform project. We have a blanket project. This is different projects that I do throughout the year. And that fundraiser is because of that, so we can raise the money that way. Those that are less fortunate will be able to give to them. So if you're in the Atlanta area, please come out. It's on December 30th at 3 p.m. And I believe the flyer is flashing on there right now. So then that way you guys can come out and support us and come out and have a good time. We're going to have food. We're going to have wine. It's going to be like a lot of really amazing time. We have a red carpet reception. So the link will be on my website and also on Facebook. So then that way you guys can get the information and come out. So thank you again. And as I said, if you're tuning in right now, you're listening to the Facts of Life show. And thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking the time. I know it's Saturday and people are usually, they have a lot of stuff to do, but thank you for tuning in. And I have two amazing guests here, right? On my, wait, this is my right hand, my left. Sometimes I don't know what she, I gotta do this. On my left is my dearest friend and clinical counselor, Ms. Davia Stevenson. And she spoke a little before, and we'll be talking to her a little more. But you guys, the good thing about this, you can always go back and play the video. This is live, you can listen to it. But I like that we did Facebook Live, because then you can always go back and, review it. So I'm going to, on my left is my friend and brother, and we do business together, is C.F. Taylor. And I'm going to read a little bit about him. He's a native of New Jersey and full-time father of 4 sons. You have something in common. You're from New Jersey? Oh, you live in New Jersey. And I live in New Jersey. Yeah. See, New Jersey. Yeah, I got these folks. I don't know what it is. Wow. Yes, and wait, there's something else. William, that's your middle name of your son is William, right? Oh, wow. Wow, William, Michael, Miles, and is that Xander? Xander, oh, okay. And he's a mentor to over 1,000 youth, young adults. And again, there's something we have in common, because you deal with the youth teens. And, I believe that God, orchestrates people and put us together in such an amazing way. That's how we know that sometimes we just let him flow, let the Spirit flow, because he does everything so much better than we can. So you mentioned in New York, New Jersey, Kentucky, Ohio, and he learned at an early age how to demand the stage. I like that. Through singing, acting, dancing, character portrayal, through engaging scripts and public speaking. These 25 plus years career in the arts include musical roles such as Judas from Jesus Christ Superstar, and planted in Little Shops of Horror on local East Coast stages of, okay. Oh, I'm sick of, I think I'm getting hot, like this. Sorry. People know me, it's a little funny. Technology, that's good, but sometimes could be a pain. Where was I? It's getting old too. Alongside 1999 Tony Awards nominated late producer Ron Taylor and cast of Ain't Nobody But the Blues, accredited with musical drama roles, spinning from the 2012 Indie Award winning movie The Buyout to winning, and that's one of my friends that is Mark, right? Mark, yeah, actually one of his, I think it was the second movie, or was it the first?
That was his first, the one.
The Buyout. Okay, the second one was
Fully Hustle.
Yeah, because I was actually on, which one was I on? Lord, I forget the name of it, but I have the cover because I played the nurse in the hospital. No, I had another name. There's like on the cover of it, he's on there, and Kiwana is on the back. Again, some of my designs were featured in it.
Okay.
It was about a few years ago. I was still in Ohio, but I played the nurse in that movie.
Actress.
Yeah, I did that
Julie
too. Okay. You might be calling on me too now. Okay, so an actress? Oh, wow.
Okay, listen, I am always looking. Always.
See, that's why I love to do this, because you never know who God is bringing together and what He's doing. And, I want to come back here in March, and I want to put on, whether it's a conference or something. I don't know what it is God is leading me to do, but if all of us can come together, we're going to make something happen. Because my son, I just found out, is decided to join the Air Force. And he's swearing in March, and my friend has told me it's gonna be okay, but oh Lord, but yes, and our time keep going. And I'll place your Bible because we need to hear from you personally. So, and our time goes by so quickly. So, thank you very much for coming. I thank God, the day that I met you in Atlanta the first time.
Yeah, I actually flew to Atlanta.
Yeah, and then you were just there for a day, and then you came on my radio show, and oh my God, you sang for us. It was amazing. It was amazing. So tell us just anything that you want us to know, and because of time, we're just gonna go right into it. Tell us any even about what you do with the youth, and if you want to talk about any experience with depression, because that's what we're talking about. And just this stage is yours for the next 5 minutes. So just
listen, I've had the privilege of sitting here listening to the conversation prior to joining you all on camera. I have dealt with forms of mental health issues. I've seen it from the outside looking in. I've worked with several individuals from young to old. I've worked with my family members as well as in the community and also organizations. I've seen it from different perspectives. And I don't know, as I said that, I kind of got chills over me. So I'm going to follow the chills and just share what came to my mind.
Yeah.
When I was 8th grade, all right, up to 8th grade, I was probably what you would call one of the most unruly children in the world. Okay. At one point, the principals called me into the office and called it the worst case that they've ever experienced in all the years of administration. Behavioral issues. Of course, I had the cliche situations, the broken home, being raised by grandmother, rodents and this and that, food stamps and everything. That's when you can actually count out food stamps, the paper ones. All right, I'm dating myself a little bit, but I came from that type of situation. So needless to say, I didn't have things to use as an excuse, but it did pour into me and created me. I became a product of my environment, so to speak. And that is a very real situation for a lot of youth and young adults. Fast story. Got in trouble for something I did not do. But after so many times of doing something, nobody did. I was getting suspended from elementary school all the way up to 8th grade. But this particular time, I didn't do anything. But they didn't leave. So they called me into the office and gave me 10 days out of school suspension, 5 days in school suspension. And my mind went crazy. To the point that I ran throughout the building and I kept running away from them because they were trying to get me out of school. I ran to the 2nd floor bathroom where they followed me there as well. And they were trying to get me to come out of the bathroom stall. And, me just being a mouthy child, I told them, leave me alone or I'm going to jump. Now, mind you, the 2nd floor story window wasn't anything that anyone could ever get hurt on. My wife is fixing me here. Let me just button this up. They can't see me. Okay, all right. Anyway, so it was really, something what was it? But as the administration, they have a responsibility for, the people. And needless to say, I got sent to the hospital. My grandmother, who had custody of my mental, old school that goes along with love. You must have did something for them to say you did something. Do whatever they say and get over it, and so on and so forth. They presented her with a piece of paper, just sending me to mental health floor in a hospital in Hoboken, New Jersey. And I remember with tears in my eyes, I cried. No, I wasn't going to kill myself. I just wanted, and I kept explaining. She didn't know anything else but to sign the paper. Went to this hospital, and the program was you were supposed to stay there for no less than 30 days. Every time you went to the group sessions, you had to introduce yourself, much like what is it, AA meetings? I said double A. You can tell I'm a driver, triple A. You had to introduce yourself. So I said, hi, I'm Zaki, and I'm here for assumed suicide. And they said, what is that? You all assumed I was going to. I sure did. You all assumed I was going to commit suicide. Reason why I believe I'm sharing that story is because inside that hospital, mind you, the praise report on that, I got out in 2 weeks. I saw people getting shot up to calm them down. I saw people that had legit mental issues, depression, and things that you would never imagine. And mind you, I'm the 18 and younger women. All right? This is back in the 80s. And I watched these people go through these daily routines because they had a label without anyone dealing with why. The why is why we deal with so much mental instability, why we deal with so much, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't have the degrees, I just have the life experience. Why we have so many unspoken truths about, these areas and topics. I myself, I have dealt with depression myself. I'm 42 years old, and I have sense enough to know, go to, a psychiatrist. Let's talk about this. Talk to my general physician. Let's talk about this. Because what I refuse to do is sweep anything underneath the rug the way I was taught. Because if I'm out there helping others, I have to be able to help myself.
Yes.
I have to. So I'm not ashamed. My wife will tell you in a heartbeat. I will take my 20 milligrams of my sertraline to take the edge off, because my life upbringing, being a product of my environment, life experiences, and everything that is compounded on top of who I am. Because when you become somewhat of a public figure and people are pulling and pulling, how much can you pull if I don't have anything left? So there are those dark nights. Though there are those moments that I'm sitting at home and I just have to rest my head in my wife's arm or on the bosom, as the Bible may say. That's in there. That's in there. It's in there. Come on. And I have to be transparent and honest that I'm just not feeling it today.
Yes.
And what I've learned dealing with so many is that when you're dealing with expectations, choices, everything that you all spoke about, my job, I come from the perspective of being able to listen. If I can listen and digest what they're saying, then I can feed it back to them and let them hear how it sounds. Because many times in our youth, this new generation is a whole different beast.
Need some manuals.
Listen, but their language is not. The words, the same words that meant something to us years ago, mean something completely different today. So how can we communicate and relate to them if we don't even understand what they're saying? All right. So first I had to listen, and then feed it back to them so that they can hear how it does. What are you really saying? Because this is how it comes across. I don't like labels. I don't like when you have to clinically diagnose me, but you haven't taken the time. There's a difference. I can give you all the symptoms that I'm experiencing. Go to the textbook that you learn. And you can give me at least 3 to 5 different things that it could be, prescribe something. But if you don't know my story, it may be simply give me different methods of show me how to put this in this compartment and change my outlook and perspective of this, make different choices. Yeah. Be honest. Learn how to communicate.
You have choices. Sometimes you don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You said a couple things that I think are really powerful. One was you talked about your context. Your context matters. Right?
Absolutely.
You talked about how you were misread You were a kid that was in pain.
Yeah.
You weren't a kid that was mentally ill.
Absolutely.
But that was the process that you were taken under.
Truly was.
Now, again, because I don't think anything's wasted, God used that time to make you sensitive to some other things, right? So it wasn't wasted, it was built into you in the long run. But context is everything. Context is everything. You've got to listen to people in their context. There was something else you said. You take your medication as you need it, but you also talk about talking with your psychologist or counselor or whatever advisor you have, general physician, your wife, absolutely, so that medication is just a tool. It's not the cure. My frustration with sometimes general practitioners are like, after you go to your doctor and you say, I'm feeling depressed, you do a 2-question survey, you prescribe a medication, you take your medication, you get a little bit of relief, and then later on you need to change it or up the dose because we never dealt with the root. And the root is about your thoughts, is about how you adapt to your particular context. And I agree with you. As a matter of fact, I get in trouble sometimes because I take too long to diagnose. Because I just can't get anybody diagnosis in the first session. And hopefully the state board's not going to get mad at me for saying that. But I take a minute. And my personal philosophy is I give the least applicable diagnosis that I can give.
Let's start
here. You and I are talking about it. You'll know what I'm saying. And if I don't have to diagnose, I don't. It is distasteful to me as well. Except for when there's real mental illness and we've got to get you in a particular. When I say real mental illness, it's not that depression is. When I'm talking about a formal thought disorder like schizophrenia or bipolar disorder, where you have a permanent chemical imbalance that you're going to need a medication for duration. I too have been on medication, and it was 15 years ago. I had a clinical depression, and I didn't want to take it. My counselor suggested I go to a doctor, be evaluated for medication. My doctor agreed. I said, I'm not doing it. Every other housewife on the block is on Prozac. I'm not doing the trends, right? I know Jesus. I don't need that.
Right, he can fix it all. Just call it understand.
Just understand that.
Right.
And I couldn't make progress in my thoughts.
Yeah.
And so I needed that medication to lift the bottom and lower the top for a period of time so that I could do the work that I needed to do.
That's the important thing, though, because
to do the work that you need to do.
It. And not just saying, I have the medication and I'm going to be okay. No, but to do the work.
Work. It's just a tool to assist you. Remember, when you become disordered, you're now impaired in your ability to do life, work, and relationship. Yeah. So if you can just give a little bit of a boost, take a little bit of the top off for some. Not everybody doesn't need medication.
Right. Some people just
need to do the work. That's
get rid of some people.
And be validated in what you experience.
That's really amazing, because one thing I like is that when I say that's why we do that, because see, the three of us are sitting there, and we're not saying that we're expert on the subject, but we all can say that we've been through it. And a lot of people are there sitting in their homes where we're party. They don't want people to know they're depressed because there's such, a negative stigma on that. And I'm just thankful to God that we can say, hey, we've been through it. Even if I'm here and I'm a TV host and I'm a fashion designer and you're clinical psychologist or counselor and you work with the youth, we all have been through it. And we know that that's why we're here, to tell you about our experience and to give you professional ways that you can help, you can get help. So I'm really thankful for that.
Go
ahead.
Depression and anxiety are like the common cold.
They are.
Everyone
goes through it.
And if we just acknowledge that and that's a stigma around it, we can get the help we need to change our
lives. People are afraid of, talking to them. I know what time is going. I want to just put another question in real quick, and then, both of you can talk about it and say that, are there things that you can do to help yourself? We have talked about it. I'm just going to put to help yourself or your loved ones who may be struggling during this time.
Of this holiday season?
Yes.
And I'm coming from the side of having the experience of working with people day in and day out in different capacities. Of course, the holiday season is probably one of the most depressing times for many people. so many ways. You can't even stop counting. I mean, because whatever you can validate to yourself or you can justify, then that's your reason, right? So who am I to judge you on the reason? I told someone this the other day. If you have breath in your body, then you have a reason to live. A reason to live. Anyone that you've lost, if that's why you're going through depression, you're alive. You can tell the story. No one can tell the story but you. What I do, I try to give someone the flip side of, I'm accused of being too optimistic oftentimes, and I'm okay with it. Because I'd rather see the glass as half full. I'd rather see it like that because I can always pay attention to what I don't have. And then I'm giving myself a justifiable reason to stay depressed, to stay upset. But when I have someone that confronts me honestly and authentically, look at what you do have. You may not have the Christmas spread across your table that you see on the television expectations in the movies. But do you have something to eat? Do you have a place to go to? Many times people don't even reach out and open up their mouths. Old folks, and I say old folks, closed mouths don't get fed.
That's true.
Closed mouths don't get fed.
Yeah.
And I want to put this in here, and I'll just let it move on. But I also come from a family. My mother is one of 9 kids, and they all deal with mental health issues. And when I say real ones, I'm talking about schizophrenia, bipolar, and everything that comes along with that. And seeing them in mental hospitals, oh gosh, the things that I've seen. My mother is no longer there. How did she transition from having mental breakdowns and could not take care of me at the age of 7 and this and that and sleeping on park benches and all of that to being remarried and texting me this morning, I need to talk to you and your ex-wife about the kids for Christmas. Wow. That's where we're at. Mm-hmm. How did we get there? There was a stage of medication. There was a stage of counseling. There was a stage of self-realization and being real and putting in things in context and knowing she had to go through the process. Yeah. So what I say to people in this holiday season, don't knock the process. Just be willing to go through it and have a support system to help you through it.
Yes, yes.
That's really what
I mean, I have a couple minutes.
I don't have a whole lot to add to that. I really, the judgment, self-judgment, hiding your pain, those types of things are what keep you stuck. I saw something, it was just an Instagram post, but I thought it was powerful. Don't know the source, but I like the statement. It said, if you focus on your pain, you'll continue to suffer. Absolutely. If you focus on the lesson, you have the opportunity to grow. Yes. And I love that. I love that. And I do feel that no matter what your experience, the pain, the loss, the triumphs, the victories, whatever, nothing is wasted unless you waste it. The wasting is yours to do. Yes. Or you can take all of this as part of your context, validate the hard parts, celebrate the good parts. Yeah. You know, where there's breath, there's hope. There's hope. There is hope. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, this has been really amazing. And we have like 2 minutes left. So I'm gonna just give you the chance maybe to tell us in like 30 seconds, where can they find you or what you do real quick, or your website, so that way people know how you, I don't know, Davia, if you have anything to say, but so we can just let you know.
Absolutely. I'll make it very easy for everyone. Please, if you look up the username at ICAN4U, IKAN, the number 4, the letter U.com. I always say .com. At ICAN4U on all social media outlets. You can Google it. You can Google my name, ZF Taylor. I promise you will be able to locate me and you will be able to find everything I've done in my whole life. For some reason, I've become this person. I didn't try to become this person, but I am grateful for the opportunity because I get a chance to work in passion. Thank you.
Thank you. And our time has come to a close. Man, this is really awesome, and we're gonna have to do it again. We may have to get a 2-hour slot to do something like that.
Just do it.
I gotta believe God, and I have this here. So we also, this is our sponsorship package. So if you like the show and you want to sponsor the show, we'll have that information there too. If you're just tuning in, this is the Facts of Life show. And my guest today is Davia Stevenson and Z Taylor from Ohio. We are in Columbus, Ohio. And I just want to thank everyone for tuning in. I am your host, Anthony Lawrence, and I want to wish you a really, really great weekend. And I'm gonna head on out there, and I'm trusting God that my grandson is gonna come. And thank you to Status Network over there in Columbus. Oh my God, in Atlanta. And I didn't give all the information, but I promise Jack, I'm gonna put it on the site as well, so in that way they can know how to reach us. If anybody wants to start their own show, we can give all that information. Thank you to Z's wife for helping us, and we had a really great time. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. God bless each and every one of you, and we'll see you next week, Saturday at the same time.